Hey, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay, yeah. I was just in the middle of emailing you to let you know I'm on early so that we can test the audio and whatever in case that needed to be tweaked.
Okay, no, it sounds good.
All right, awesome. Cool. Geez, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in there. It's a Saturday. Just tired, but I mean, what else is
Right.
new? Just the daily grind, get that bread,
hmm
you know.
Well, well,
It is what it is.
I know since we first talked, I mean, you've shortly after that was when you switched over to doing voiceover full time, and you got with Atlas, and
Yeah, yeah, no, everything has been fantastic, honestly. Ever since I ended up switching from full-time studio work to just doing this kind of just fully kind of everything has just been lining up, slowly getting work consistently and just kind of spreading my name across and whatnot.
Mhm. Do you still are your thoughts about going to LA the same, or
Uh Shoot, I don't even remember what I said last time, but probably I can't imagine that it was any different, which is I would like to go, but now is just not the right time. I'm just in the middle of, lining everything up. I don't like to do anything that's not calculated. I like to make sure, things are a little bit in a row so that I can, you know, go with minimal risk, is the way I do things.
right?
Um but yeah, no, everything is just chill. I saw you ended up posting the Alhaitham mains,
Yep.
letting them know that we were doing this interview and whatnot. So shout out to our Alhaitham mains. This is me, Nazeeh Tarsha, aka not Zeno Robinson, aka not Xander Movis, aka not Cody Christian, aka not KG Tang, uh, or any of the others that you may or may not have guessed in there. Sorry to disappoint you, I guess.
Well, because I saw the meme post you made that got pinned. Had you been lurking in the sub for a while?
I'll lurk every now and then. Admittedly, as an actor, it's very scary going into these different spaces where you can find criticism of yourself, whether it be your voice, your performance, et cetera, et cetera. So I went there out of curiosity, but with a lot of trepidation. And seeing the constant, it was support, but the guessing game had me like, oh, who are they going to guess today? All right, what's the flavor of the week now? Who are people thinking? So like once I got over the, oh, do they like what I'm doing? I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'll come in and lurk every now and then, scour through, see some of the cool fan art. Yes, I see some of the not so family friendly fan art too. I have absolutely seen a lot of it. Um uh, but yeah, no, I'll lurk in there every now and then. I don't do it very often, and not anymore. Like I think the last time I really did it was just looking at like the questions that people put for this interview, for instance. But outside of that, I mean, I don't really have a reason to just constantly go in and lurk and whatnot. And I don't like doing like the whole like uh full on interaction. I think that kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not for me. Like I like interacting with fans. I love interacting with people who like my work and whatnot. But I think the moment I become like really active and sort of like kind of like on Alhaitham mains with a fan subreddit, I think it kind of like loses a little bit of the mysticism, I guess.
Yeah.
It loses its flavor a little bit. It's like let me just look from afar. I think is the best way to go about it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it is cool because I think now you and Danny are the first actual voice actors from Texas that are playable characters in the game.
I'm not playable yet.
Not
I
yet.
will. Yeah. Yet. I don't know when. Um, that's not something that I have access to from client or MiHoYo. And even if I did, it's not like I could tell you anyways.
Yeah.
And by you, I'm also talking to whoever is watching. But looking at the suspected leaks and the timeline and whatnot, it kind of kills me a little if it really is going to be that late. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay, sure, whatever. It is what it is. But I am super, super shocked they even like put my name in the video description, honestly. I thought I was going to be playing guess the actor for a few months at least, honestly. I the moment it happened, I was like bombarded with a bunch of texts from like various friends and like either Messenger or Discord or whatever. And it was just like, you're announced, you're released, blah blah. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. Okay. And then me and my stupid idiocy, I ended up making the post without like a graphic or a picture or anything like that. So of course I was just like, oh, that was a really dumb move. I should have put something, because who the hell is going through Twitter wanting to read like a barrage or like a wall of text with it? It's like, if they at least just see the graphic, they can see like graphic, voice of, see the name, be like, oh, and then it's like there's the interaction. But it took me until like the nighttime for my one of my best friends to hit me up. I was just like, hey, I'll make you the graphic or whatever, and did that, and which is why I had like a follow-up post. It was just like, let's try this again.
Yeah.
I do suspect that once Miho actually does like the official like, oh, he's playable, here is the what's it's called, like the official announcement kind of a thing, then people were probably going to start flocking a little more to my social media.
Right.
Because I mean, obviously it's like a 4 million follower account is going to have a lot more outreach. But this was like a nice little like dose for me to just make sure that everything is like in order, everything is in line, kind of just know how to handle as it comes. And honestly, I mean, I think it's just going to be what I did this time, which is just post, call it a day. I'll look at the likes, but and I'll like the comments and whatnot, but it's just overwhelming, you know, to sit there and interact with every single thing, good or bad. But yeah, here we are.
Was that a pretty general audition when it came through in your inbox?
Kinda. I mean, yes and no. It's one of those things where you know, you get the thing and you can kind of piece things together, especially when you look at the client and you look at the various descriptions and whatnot. You never know what the character actually is. You never know what the character like how big they are or any of that sort of stuff, but you kind of have an inkling like, okay, hold on, this is an audition from X company, this is probably a little more of a big deal if they're holding an audition. So it's like, you know, saw the auditions, and I mean, I treat it like every other audition I do. It's like, hope for the best, do my best, expect nothing, and then one day magically like, hey, they want you. It's like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there is nothing to indicate that, you know, this character was going to be as big as he is or anything like that in terms of this side. It was just like any other side. You have your description and all that kind of sort of generic stuff, enough to get you in line with what the character needs to sound like, and kind of like personality traits and whatnot.
What was your first reaction then when you did see and find out?
Oh, funny enough, I was actually in the middle of a recording session when I found out. This was gosh, when was this? I was recording on the Demon Lord show that I was doing. Mid-session, I just see an email from my agent. It's like we're in between takes, they're piecing things together. And as they're doing that, I look, and then I just like hit my phone. It's just like, hey, you booked. And I think I actually like had to stop recording for like 5 minutes. It kind of just hit me like, oh, this is a big deal. So my director at that time, Jason Lord, he was there in that moment, and kind of like got to witness that firsthand, what it's like when an actor like gets big news. Because normally, you know, I'm just here, I'm just in like my room doing fuck all. But for that sort of news to hit in a professional environment where you're trying to keep composure, I still lost a little bit of it, you know, just like I told them, I was just like, hey, Jason, I need like 5 minutes, like, hold on. And just kind of like the deep breathing, like I can't believe I booked this.
Right.
But yeah, it was really really huge like feelings of elation and just surprise, and then worry, because immediately after that you start thinking, oh no, there's the fandom. Are they going to like what you do? Are they going to rip me to shreds, et cetera, et cetera? So it's like a whole just roller coaster of emotions at once, but mostly positive and happy.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah, you've seen pretty much everything that people are just saying how they like how sexy you made him sound and everything.
Yeah, it's so funny because my little sister, she'll see these comments sometimes and she's just like, it's just your voice. What? Like, this is like weird seeing your voice being described like that. It's like people who've heard me like all their lives and whatnot for to sort of see that. But I mean, hey, look, if that's what people think, that's what people. I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. Like here I am.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoy.
Was it easy for you to personally relate to this character?
I mean, yes and no. It's one of those things where anime-esque sort of characters are already like a varied level of like exaggerated. It's like this is of course the character, and especially with something like this, where this is just like always playing like 5D chess, 600 moves ahead of you. Like, no, there is not going to be like that level of relation. There is the idea of like, being calculated and like, trying to move without risk, or like playing the odds or assessing things. Like there are definitely facets of the character that I can absolutely relate with. Also like the idea of being a loner and like just kind of like running your own mission, being your own team. Yeah, there are definitely aspects where I can relate to it, but as a whole, like I said, this is like the fucking 500 IQ character. Like, how much can you relate to somebody who is that cocky, that full of themselves, and probably actually that smart? It's kind of like Lelouch, honestly. Like that's what the character reminded me of a lot. Where and in the process of like recording this, or it's just like, oh, you think this, but actually this, but actually, it's just like constant reveal over like, oh, yeah, you thought I was going to do this move. Oh, you foiled me, but actually I anticipated the foil. Oh, but you went to, it's just like constant. So like, I relate to the character as much within reason.
Was the voice direction also kind of pretty general stuff, or was there anything special that stood out?
No, this one was a little more particular. This is actually, weirdly enough, one of the hardest characters I've had to voice.
Oh.
And it's because of the tonality.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, whenever I'm in the booth doing characters and whatnot, I like to play a little bit, and I have a lot of musicality in my reads. It's like sometimes it'll be like, well, hello. It's like, just little things like that where I like to have a little bit of fun with these. But with him being so stoic, calm, reserved, and also in hearing some of the references regarding like the original seiyus and whatnot, and the Chinese, it's like, it's so just, hey, it's matter of fact. It's just, not very animated. And so for me, that's a challenge, especially because I feel like I've had to come full circle where I used to have my reads like that. And then I learned to play a lot, which increased my bookings and all this other stuff. But then coming down to this where, every other direction on a line, it's just like, hey, go ahead and flatten them out a little bit. Go ahead and tone it down just a little. Hey, you have a little too much musicality, so it's like trying to get that tone back to where he sits. Because you don't want him to, not to say come off with too much personality, but it's sort of that stoicism that keeps it like mysterious and gives him his allure, you know, because there are plenty of characters that have more bigger reads over the top and whatnot. So to make sure that he is his own thing, um, you know, constantly being brought down, constantly it's just, hey, I like the read, but just let's go ahead and just tone it down just a hair. It's like, okay, cool. So yeah, definitely one of the harder things, weirdly enough, because he's not even like doing too much.
Right.
It's not vocally intensive. It's more just keeping the sort of levels of animatedness down, especially when, you know, a lot of the stuff that I work on are like, you know, big or over the top or shouting and all this other stuff. But yeah.
And going off of that, was there anything that you did to get into his headspace right away?
I mean, there isn't really much to do to get into his headspace. Just, you know, whenever I'm about to get into the booth, I'll start saying words or lines, trying to, you know, tone it down. Go ahead and stay down here, and kind of have a little bit more reservedness with the way I talk. I may have like a few lines that I go to. Yeah, just essentially just, you know, any sort of like prep that I would do for any other character. It's not really the idea of like, you know, like fully transforming or anything like that.
Mhm.
But there is definitely like, okay, hold on. I need to remember he's not over the top. He's not big. I need to bring him down. So yeah, there is like a level of like going back, looking at what I've done, being played references and being like, okay, this is the headspace. These are the reads. Here I am.
Mhm. And what are your thoughts on at least what we've seen so far and what we know of his relationship with other characters?
It seems pretty standard of the smartest guy in the room, you know, whether or not he's good, he's bad, what his true feelings are on the relationships, you know, that's something that I don't know. You know, there's only so much also that I can comment on without going into unrevealed things, of course. But I think uh I think if you go off of like things that we've seen in other media, characters that are sort of similar, I think he's a little more at the moment. He's a bit mysterious, but it feels like he's genuine.
Mhm.
It feels like he's a little more on like the good side, I guess. Obviously, still yet to be seen whether or not he is. And also, let me go ahead and take this time to preface, obviously, that I am just a voice. I, in no way, shape, or form, speak to the character's intentions, et cetera, et cetera. I need to cover my ass with Miho and the client. I don't want anyone taking any of my words and saying, "Oh, well, he said Alhaitham would we'd order this at Starbucks." Like, no. I think Alhaitham would order this at Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't know because he's not my IP. He's not my character. I just voice him.
Yeah.
And so speaking as a fan or an onlooker, kind of just like looking at this character, he, while feeling mysterious, it's kind of like that constant like trope that you'll see in Hollywood where the very mysterious guy who seems shady turns out to be a good guy in the end. That's what this feels like to me. Where it's just like, hopefully the mysterious allure is just to like keep you on your toes, but it turns out just like, oh yeah, no, he's with us. He's just a, you know, he's just another one of the cast. It's fine. We'll see though, because I mean, I've heard there are betrayals. I've heard there have been, you know, reveals or something where it's just like, oh, this character, I can't believe they're doing this. It's like, oh, well, we'll find out what happens here. Oh, and I did want to preface, I should have prefaced all this in the very beginning of the interview.
Oh, you're fine.
I have not yet played Genshin. So any questions pertaining to like you know, like specific gameplay or specific characters and what my feelings are on them or who I'd like to voice and whatnot, I won't actually be able to answer those because of my lack of knowledge toward the game. And it's not to say that I'm not interested in playing it. I just don't have the time at the moment. I will say I am staring at the icon though right now on my desktop, so I have downloaded it. It is there. So it's not a matter of I don't want to play it. It's just I need to sit down and say, all right, let's go ahead and devote some time to this. But yeah, I just needed to like let people know and disappoint them now. I don't play. Whether I have any ideas or thoughts of potentially streaming, maybe, but again, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that I would do personally. I kind of like just admiring a little more from afar and having like the interactions. Streaming on its own is like its own job that I'm not like, I'm already busy enough as is. I don't need another job on top of that. Gaming is what I do for fun. The second people are like all eyes on me, it starts feeling like an act a little bit. It starts feeling like, oh, here's another form of entertainment that it's like, I need my own time to myself. I need my own forms of, escape.
Well, going off of the last thing you said, I know we don't really know a whole lot yet, but just knowing that Sinnoh is an outsider from academia originally and how much disdain he has towards that. Yeah. And it is especially funny that it's Alejandro against you.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Like people don't know this, or not many people know this, but Alejandro and I, like, our relationship dates years at this point.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I'm dating his cousin. So it's like we're kind of family in a way. It's like we're a lot closer than just like, oh, there's that guy. Like every now and then, like, we'll message each other or send each other like a cool fan art or just say the occasional fuck you, But it is very, very funny that there is this like in-game rivalry with somebody who, I have an actual friendship with. Like, it's very nice when you get to have those sort of moments, because the level of camaraderie just increases, especially if there are moments where the characters get to interact like that. Then it's like, at that point, it's not even the characters, that's just us. So, but yeah, no, absolutely stoked that he was able to get that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, especially given that, like I said, we have a sort of history with each other.
Yeah, and it is great too that all the playable Sumeru characters are either all people of color or actually from that same heritage.
Yeah, no, it's the amount of effort that it has taken to accomplish that is insane. Because I'm very understanding of like the position that the industry is in, and specifically for people of like Mena, Swana kind of heritage. While there are a good handful of us, it's still just a handful, you know? So the fact that they've been able to fill out everything up till now, keeping it as accurate as they have, has been nothing short of impressive to me. Because, at the end of the day, they could have just copped out from the very beginning and just been like, there aren't that many. We're just going to use the usual suspects to do so-and-so and so-and-so. Or like, hey, here's the blanket thing. Everybody can just do it. And I do, Sumeru is huge. I mean, we've still got a long way to go to the end. So I do suspect there's going to end up hitting a point where, it may fizzle a little bit, because at the end of the day, like I said, there are only so many of the more and more narrow you get into the diversity picks, the smaller the pools are, so I don't have any sort of a like malice or anything if I do end up seeing someone outside of the region in there. Like, I'd love for them to collect everyone they can, because it'd just be great. But also, like I said, I am also understanding of the position where it's just like, there are only so many of us, you know. But yeah, no, hats off to them for filling out as they have, because it has been super nice seeing just the diversity of the talent that have gotten to get their start in VO. People that may have taken like years for them to even be put on a platform like this, all of a sudden it's just like, oh hey, and years just because of the way the game is, not because they're not good, you know. So to have this sort of help elevate a few careers has been nice.
Mm-hmm. And I think, I mean, I guess you could probably argue this either way, but it is really helpful too, I think, that Genshin isn't SAG.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely opens up the doors for working with a bunch of different talent, especially like the newer ones. That being said, you know, and again, this ends up becoming a whole different discussion. There's the idea that it's just like, well, you know, you can Taft-Hartley a non-union person, get them into SAG and make the production SAG and whatnot. And that is very true. You absolutely, you know, there's nothing stopping that. But the nitty-gritty as to why a company would want to keep something union versus non-union, and the pros and cons of doing, you know, either or is a hot button topic that we can talk about on tangent for hours.
Yeah.
Because you know, it is one of those things to the question that you asked. It's just like keeping it non-union helps kind of give access to just so many people. But you know, as the people in the union would argue also, if you wanted someone, you can just Taft-Hartley them. So it's like, you know, whether or not it truly makes things harder or not, that is not for me to say. I'm not the one running a production company or studio.
Yeah. Did you because I know that you played an NPC before, but have you auditioned for playable characters before?
I want to say yes, because it's not the first time I've seen auditions. It's really hard to know whether or not they were playable or just, you know, like important NPCs that have like a pretty big like importance within the world and the story and whatnot. So yes, I have auditioned before, but no idea whether or not they were actually like huge, and you know, especially since I don't closely follow the game or play it at the moment.
Yeah.
There is no way for me to tell unless like I retroactively learn what the characters were. You know, it's like I'd have to like go and like play a little puzzle game of like match the audition to the character. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, I absolutely auditioned before. It's I mean, it's how I ended up playing an NPC, because my audition was heard at some point. So I definitely got on a radar.
And since you did bring it up, and obviously you must have seen it, what would you say for the Starbucks question?
he definitely, I'm gonna agree with the comment that put, he seems like a double espresso, just, you know, let's line up the caffeine. Although I could also see like the exact polar opposite, where it's just like he'll order like a double chocolate chip frappuccino or something like that. Like I can see something completely out of character, but being the whole academia thing and just the constant late nights and this and that, I feel like he probably downs some of the stronger stuff.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on people who have always said that he's like the Dendro Zhongli? Have you seen all that stuff?
I honestly, I wouldn't even be able to answer that because of my lack of knowledge on the game. Again, I'm sorry to anyone watching this. It's just like, oh, this guy is like really disappointing.
What about, there were a handful of people who were asking what the biggest difference is between you guys are?
I'm probably a lot more social. I'm much more social. I like to shitpost on social media every now and then. I don't I don't have any ego about myself with that regard. So yeah, I'd say there are probably like a handful of good differences. But then again, there are also those similarities of just like liking being by yourself, kind of being away from other people. He strikes me as the kind of person that probably like thinks a lot, goes out into like a field and just like stares out while he thinks. Similar here. So there are definitely like, similarities, but overall, I would think the amount of sociability that I have, and just the various interactions I have on my day to day, I think already sets me quite vastly different from the character.
Yeah, it did seem, this is kind of going back earlier, but it does seem like you're friends with a lot of the cast already, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, especially given my previous production experience and whatnot, a lot of people already knew who I was or are familiar with who I am. And then kind of just having interactions over the years, whether or not I've met them in person or we just have like our side chats on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it may be. So yeah, there are a good chunk of people that I'm already familiar with on this side of the industry, at least. And when I say this side, I mean the sort of anime-esque side. Because it's very, very similar in the style of acting. I mean, we see a lot of the names that we recognize and know and love. So, and a lot of them, I work with through various, actual anime productions, and I've had interactions with. So, but yeah, definitely like friends with quite a few of them.
Yeah. And there were, I know you get this a lot, but there were just several people. I had to ask what your personal advice is for people who want to get into VO who are like around our age.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna sound to anyone who's asked any of my other peers this question, you're not gonna really hear much of a different answer from me. But it really does boil down to take some acting classes, because at the end of the day, it's not about the voices. It's about whether or not you can act. The voices, to a degree, come secondary, because especially a lot of the times you'll be cast for your main voice. Like, yeah, you can find the exceptions to the rule and say, oh, well, this cartoon's exaggerated, blah, blah, blah. But overall, when you are presenting yourself, you are presenting your natural voice within a small range. So take acting classes, learn to act, and then from there, it's a matter of kind of just constantly doing research, getting equipment, starting off small. Don't purchase like really high-end stuff when you would not be able to utilize that stuff. D. Bradley Baker has a phenomenal site. I think it's I want to be the voice actor. I want to be a voiceactor.com. It's just A to Z on how to approach entering this field. And then I know Kira Buckland, she has had a number of articles and whatnot that she has put together and written with some testimonials from various people in the industry as well, regarding kind of like navigating the freelance side of things, entering the professional realm, do's and don'ts, and sort of like the realities of pursuing a career in this as well. But yeah, I mean, boil it down, take classes, do some research, and eventually get equipment, do some online stuff, some indie stuff, freelance in that way. And then once you hit the point where you've made connections and you've gotten better, that's when you probably start applying for agents and start trying to get into the bigger things. At the end of the day, there is no set path. Everyone has had their own journey. Some are similar, some are vastly different, some happen much faster than others. I have been doing this for about 6 years now, and I'm doing this full time. I know people who haven't had the opportunity to scratch this as even a part-time, who have been doing this for longer. So it just depends on so many factors. But yeah, that's what I would say. Take some acting classes and check out D. Bradley Baker's site.
What do you also personally think helps out with people that want to get into dubbing specifically?
For dubbing specifically, it's showing that you have a sort of passion for acting, and not just like anime. Because there are a lot of people who love anime. There are a lot of people in the fandom that conflate the idea of dubbing an anime with acting. You know, it's just like, do you actually want to act, or do you just want to be in an anime? That's really what that ends up boiling down to. So if it is a legitimate pursuit of acting, then doing those various steps that I mentioned will help get you on the radar of various studios, especially like if you compile just like, even if you don't have a resume with any work, but you've shown, hey, I've taken this acting class, this acting class, this acting class. Here's like 30 seconds of my voice. Some studios would be willing to give you a chance. Some directors, some people would say, there's potential here. We can get you in for something. Obviously no guarantees, but seeing people get training, seeing people with an actual devotion to the craft is one of the things that helps delineate and just kind of separate and weed out who is just an Uber fan versus who actually wants to do this, but is also a fan. You know, it's just like, be honest with yourself, because if it really is just that you are an Uber fan and you want to be in a dub, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But you've got to also understand there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who have that sort of like aspiration versus people who are trying to make this a full-time, you know, career, like an acting career, not necessarily just in dubbing. So yeah, professional training and an honest sort of an honest what's the word I'm looking for? An honest route into the industry and showing kind of like, you know, the passion that you may have. That's what'll probably help.
Okay.
Not even probably, that is what helps.
So back to Genshin, what are your thoughts on his character design and outfit and everything?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Look, so I am nowhere near as ripped or to the other people who argue that he's not ripped, he's just really skinny and his abs are showing and whatever. I'm in nowhere, I don't have that physique. So I can't pull off the tight clothing that this man wears, but he does wear all black, and black is slimming, and that's all that matters to me. I'd be lying to you if I said that I haven't thought of ways of kind of like dressing up or kind of like representing the character in a way, kind of like what Zeno did with Hawks in his first reveal, where he had like that custom. I don't even know. I don't think it was a yellow suit, but like he had like his shoes, he had like a jacket, like and glasses and whatnot, like things like that, where I can translate the attire into modern day things. I don't necessarily want to cosplay, but I definitely want to be like, if you look at me and point, it's just like, oh, he's doing a representation. That's cool. I like that. That's dope. So yeah, no, I totally support it. Green and black, fantastic color combination. Yeah, no, there is absolutely nothing for me not to like. And also, I mean, to be fair, I'd probably be saying that about a lot of characters. I'm very, very easy, but he's also hot. So like, he can just pull off anything, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I love it.
Well, maybe you've seen the comments too, but there are definitely a lot of people who think that you're like one of the most attractive voice actors in the game now.
Dude, don't, man, that is a lot for me to take it. I've already got my own self-esteem issues and whatnot. So for people to start saying that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks. Although my girlfriend, sorry to disappoint people, I do have a girlfriend. She did, one of her coworkers sent her a screenshot, and I want to say it was from Alhaitham, of somebody describing not just my voice but me as hot as well, and she sent me a message just like, do I need to worry, jokingly of course, And of course, my reply is just, no, you don't need to worry. But so it has come up in my actual day-to-day as a sort of joking thing. And I mean, to that, nothing but honored and flattered. I don't agree, but look, who am I to argue?
Yeah. So one thing I always ask Genshin cast members to do is I ask them to do if I type it out, I have them do like one of their canon lines in character.
What's the canon line you got here?
I'll post it. It's somebody from the team that Alhaitham works for, talking about Sinnoh. It's on the message board.
Let's see. This is sure. Haven't seen that desert dwarf in a while. Guess we can relax a bit. Haven't seen that desert dwarf in a while. Guess we can relax a bit. Give you a non-interrupted take of me just stumbling through. Yeah. There you go.
Also, do you this is probably obvious too, but do you plan on not playing it until he's actually released?
I mean, I don't know. Truthfully, like him being released is definitely a catalyst for making me want to start. But if I don't plan on streaming, it doesn't actually matter, you know? And I already, like a lot of my peers, I'm very self-conscious about my work and hearing my own voice and whatnot. So technically, I don't know that I even want to play once he becomes released. I don't want to hear myself. I'm going to switch the language or something. Oh, man. You would think after doing this for 6 years that you'd get used to hearing yourself and whatnot. And I know a lot of friends that, you know, it's just casual, it's normal, it's whatever, it's just part of the job. But I still hate it, man. I still absolutely hate hearing my own voice. I
like anything that you're in, or
yeah, I don't like it. Like, I mean, I don't like me saying I hate it doesn't mean I won't do it, because that's how you learn from your past performances and get better. But it doesn't mean that I like it any better or less. Like even when I acknowledge that I've gotten better and it's like, oh, that was a good performance, I still hated hearing my voice though. I don't think it's ever going to be normal for me.
Well, I don't think there's been a single negative reaction to him though so far.
I really, really, really can't say how much joy that really has brought me. It's the fandom is scary. It's nerve-wracking seeing just the amount of people that have a love and support for this game. And you know, I've seen what some of the backlash and things that some of my peers have gotten, and it's, you know, there's a lot of trepidation going into a voice reveal, even if you're really, really confident and love what you did and whatnot. If the people don't like it, I mean, and it's not even just with Genshin. I mean, that's just a normal fact of the entertainment industry. You put yourself out there, and for the public as a whole to be able to see you and just openly mock, support, love, hate, whatever it may be, that can be so damaging. It's one of the reasons why, like, I mute a lot of Twitter. I mean, I ended up deleting it off of my phone. It's just sometimes it's a little too much. And luckily / unluckily, I mean, my name is spreading now, but I was a little more of an unknown quantity, so I didn't have to deal with this. I can't imagine what, you know, peers who have like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, what they have to deal with on a day-to-day. So looping this back, the fact that people have liked it, have said that it's sexy, that they've had this just kind of like thirst or love or admiration, support, whatever adjective you want to use, it's helped so much for the mental space, because like I said, you come into this reveal and you're just like part of part of me, when I learned that the leakers estimated Alhaitham to be released later, I was just like, oh, well, I can learn if people like me or not. And then
Yeah.
if I learn they hate me, I can probably just go and tell the client, hey, don't reveal my voice, don't reveal I'm the voice actor, please. Like it was a thought that went through my head. Um, Obviously they just sprung my name. I mean, I did sign off on them being able to in all of my contracts, but I could have absolutely gone later and be like, hey, actually, look, I'm a little scared too. But again, the fact that the community has been nothing but supportive. I mean, I can't say anything more than just, thank you. It does mean a lot.
Well, that is one thing I've noticed ever since that new secondary director has been part of the franchise, that people who are new characters get revealed way faster now.
I don't even know or think that it's necessarily just the addition of a new director or anything. I think it's just, over the years, I think MiHoYo has slightly altered their reveal kind of method.
Mhm.
Because I mean, what was it? The video with the Harbingers
Right.
that was released. I think that was what probably the first time they decided to say, hey, we're going to put all the actors that are in this video in the video description. We're not going to do official reveals. That's still left to be seen for playable characters and whatever they want to do.
Mhm.
But I think they started realizing just how big uh the voice actors are as part of the process. And it's equal parts a partial respect to the actors, but also acknowledging the fans want to know.
Mhm.
It's being able to acknowledge that all the languages have a fan base and that everyone wants to know every language just the same. I think also has helped, because if I recall, I mean, I could be entirely wrong, but I mean, the original announcements dating back to when the game first released, I mean, that was sparse.
Yeah.
um I remember I went back and I saw Yuri make his announcement that he was
Dainsleif.
yes, in the game, and that had like maybe 1,000 likes or something like that. Like it was nothing. And I don't think the company necessarily like hugely like did a big blowout thing or whatever. But now all of a sudden, you look and the social media has like 4 million followers on just the English side alone.
Yeah.
People have the announcements and gain like, you know, 5, 6, 10, 20, 50,000 likes on just a single post. So I think this sort of evolution in the popularity is what's helped spur for the decision to start revealing some of the actors in the reveal trailers or in the teasers or anything like that, not just the playables, because they realize, you know, from a business standpoint, that's more marketing, and it's like, oh hey, these people are actually popular here, you know what, like take it,
Yeah.
whatever helps more marketing. So I get the business standpoint as well, but there is also just the acknowledgement that the people want to know.
Mhm. And even though you said that you don't like hearing your own voice, I would take that you have to be at least proud of your journey so far.
Oh, absolutely. Just because I say I don't like hearing my voice doesn't mean that I don't think I doesn't mean I don't think that I don't sound good. Oh man, these double negatives are hard. But it also doesn't mean that I think I'm a bad actor or anything. I've had a journey. Absolutely proud to be where I am right now. So many nights spent just like crying, sitting in your car at 3 a.m. listening to like some sad music like Sarah Bareilles or something. Listening to some like acoustic versions of songs.
Yeah.
While I go and buy a cheesecake from like Walmart back when it was still open 24 hours or something. You know, it's like I've had so many of those nights. I still have so many nights where, you know, the mental just isn't there, or, you know, friends are going through a rough one. And you know, I look back at where I started. Nowhere in a million years would I have thought that I would be where I am in the time that I've pursued this so far. It's absolutely crazy. Like the fact that I am able to say this is my full time is a testament to just how far I've managed to come. And to say that I'm not proud of that would be an absolute lie.
Yeah. And you're not, I think you're only like 3 years older than me because I'm 25.
I'm 29, so 4.
Okay.
but yeah, the point being, it's just like, you know, I acknowledge just how fast I was able to get to where I am, you know, whether or not people think I'm good, whether or not people just like working with me. You know, I like to think that I bring something different to the table, and at the very least make you chuckle through a session and call it a day. It's because at the end of the day, you know, it's equal parts a social thing as it is a talent thing. You know, you hear the phrase a lot, you know, you want to work with people that you like to work with. And I think that holds true a lot. You know, I put in a lot of legwork to get here, and yeah, absolutely thrilled, honored. Yeah, it's insane. It really is. One of the reasons I don't like making social media posts about it, because I know I've seen my peers make these posts where it's like, you know, super thankful to do this and whatnot. I don't want to come off as bragging. You know, it's like I think people know I'm thankful. And that's good enough for me, you know, because I have so many friends who are still struggling in their careers, trying to get the leg up. I have friends who have quit on their careers. And so for me to be like, you know, hashtag blessed, I'm so glad to be here. Even if, like, you know, even if without written the hashtag blessed, like I just write a genuine heartfelt thank you, I still feel bad because I know that there are so many people trying, and I'd never want to come off as like, I'm doing it. You aren't, but I am. You know, it's like that's why I like to keep myself to myself. I just, social media is where I'll shit post, talk about eating cheese at 3 a.m, make a bunch of announcement posts, prints, and call it a day. You know, I try to keep other business stuff just out of it. Try to keep my emotions out of it as well, because there's, you know, people don't want to read a really depressing Twitter either.
Yeah. Well, I did want to say too, even if you didn't bring that topic up, the first time we talked, when you were just how apologetic you were about being late, like that was so sweet. So,
oh, dude, I still. Yeah. I almost jokingly replied back in this email saying, I didn't forget this time. I still think about that, by the way. It's absolutely
not at all.
I know. And it's just like, shit, I forgot. I am so sorry. You know, it's just like running late, doing all this stuff. Because at the end of the day, you know, I am no different than anyone else, and so showing up late to something, I don't think my time is worth any more than yours. You know, it's like, it's little things like that where it's just, yeah, no, I fucked up, I am so sorry. But yeah, you know, that's just the way I like to live my life. It's just, I try to be humble where I can, show my appreciation and gratefulness where I can, and try not to gloat about it on fucking social media, especially because, like, in this day and age, all you see are everyone's highlights. You don't see the amount of struggling, the amount of just like stuff that people are going through, man. Like, if you looked at my social media, I mean, you'd think I'm on a roll and that things are going so well. And, you know, in some ways they are, but I'm also going through a lot that people don't know, or that some people know, I just don't make very public. And sometimes, you know, announcements all come out at the same time. I may have recorded things like fucking 3 months apart, and it's just like, I'm just sitting here now like, oh yeah, I recorded that 10 months ago. Okay, it's finally coming out. Look at me, I'm so busy, right?
Well, normally I don't ask this twice, but with all that's happened to you just in the last time that we talked, do you think you have a new answer for what you want your legacy to be?
I'd be lying to you if I said I fully remember what I said last time.
Okay.
But again, I'm fairly consistent in my opinions, and for me, my legacy right now, answering it has to do with just leaving an impression behind. It's not necessarily leaving a voice or a role that people remember. I would love to have that, but for me, a legacy is more just, you know, I'm the guy that people remember as, you know, they liked to work with, people that, um, you know, he had like a personality that infected the room, or oh, he was that guy that was always depressed, but goddamn, he always fucking helped people out. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
for me, the legacy is on the person and the integrity of the person, and not necessarily the body of work. So for me, that's what I want to leave behind, is just for people to say that, yeah, I was one of the few that um they enjoyed their presence, they didn't hate, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So is there anything that you want to say to the sub and server?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, thank you for the outpouring of love and support. To anyone who doesn't like what I did or my work, I can't say anything other than sorry. Kind of gonna have to deal with it because it is my voice. But but partial jokes aside, seriously, thank you. You all have given me a sort of renewed confidence, especially in a time where my self-esteem has actually been fairly low. You know, like I said, don't know where I am in my people don't know where I am in my journey unless I tell them. And to have this come up where I feel like I'm at a low point has been nothing but just eye-opening, humbling, and yeah, just thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah, that's it. Just thanks. I was gonna also mention, it's just like tone down the fan art with the lewdness, but I mean, look, you do you, man, you do you.
Yeah.
I'm not here to prohibit what y'all want to spread, you know.
Well, you just got a really sexy print made.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I have a few more lined up. Not necessarily sexy. This is the one like sexy one that I wanted to do, where it's just like sexy but classy, trying to keep it in the mood.
Right.
Because you know, I see all the comments. I know how you all are. I'm here to feed you all a little bit. And shout out to Rengekko for doing an absolutely stellar job with that print. They don't draw males. If you look on their Twitter, with the post on this, it specifically says my first male drawing. But I've been so in love with the prints that they've done before, where it's just like fancy, elegant, beautiful renditions of like various characters. The ones I've seen, mainly Genshin. I was just like, hey, would you be down to give a male one a shot? I want to stick to the same theme. They gave me a chance, and I gave them a chance. I was just, you know, here we are. The people get to eat well tonight. But don't worry, I got others in line for anyone who may want other things as well. But yeah, stay thirsty, my friends.
Is that part of the upcoming Genshin cast signing that are you doing that?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
This is unrelated. It's just because of how big this character is, I had to get a few things commissioned.
Right.
I didn't even anticipate really like participating in any signings until he got released. But I mean, if people want it, I'll have it on my Streamily page. If people want me at cons or whatever, I mean, I'll happily attend early. I don't expect anything until after his official release.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of like, it was me just prepping for that in case there was a demand for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm sure people will go crazy for everything in here once it's up.
Appreciate it. Thank you once again for reaching out and for, just letting us chill, talk, having fun.
Yeah.
And to the community, once again, thank you. And y'all have a good one.